The parents of a severely disabled teenager who say they've been waiting 7 years for a fully accessible Housing New Zealand property believe their son's quality of life is suffering miserably as they continue to wait. The 19-year-old, who we will call Hami to protect his privacy, is unable to speak, is blind, can't toilet himself, and has spastic quadriplegia and curvature of the spine. He can't walk on his own. He's fed through a stomach tube and needs around-the-clock care. The Mangere State House the family lives in is not fully wheelchair adapted, and they say critical rooms don't fit the hoist provided to lift Hami and can't easily accommodate other equipment to bath and care for him. Advocates for Hami and his family believe Housing New Zealand and the Ministry of Social Development are breaching the teenager's basic human rights by not rehousing him in a more suitable property. Dad's gentle tickling is Hami's wake-up call. He's rewarded with a giggle and a wide smile. Shower time, though, will not be met with the same enthusiasm because this house is not Hami's friend.
How long have you been waiting for a new house, a house that's better suited to your son's needs?
Supposed to be 7 years.
What do you think of this house? Is it right for your son?
This house is not right, hard, but we need a good house enough for my son. It's very hard to, everything to do inside. It's hard for me, hard for my family, hard for the support workers.
To appreciate just how hard that makes life, you need to get to know Hami a little better. Born at just 25 weeks, he's severely disabled.
So your boy now, can he walk?
No, he can't walk.
Can he see?
Can't see. There's only the hearing, that's the one thing.
So he can recognise your voice?
Yeah.
Can he talk?
They talk, but they know what they talk because they only, that's all they. Hey.
Hami has spastic quadriplegia, cerebral palsy, global development delay and severe curvature of the spine. He suffers seizures, his hands and feet are clenched and twisted. He can't toilet or clean himself and he's fed through a tube.
I get up when I hear his voice, but I know he wants to change. Change maybe, change from right to left. But it's so hard. But before I come back to bed to sleep for another hour.
Hami is utterly dependent on his family and caregivers, and they'd like to depend on his wheelchair, the hoist in a house that is supposed to make everyday tasks easier and safer. But they can't, because this house is inhospitable.
How does the wheelchair fit up the hallway?
It's hard because too small.
Dad demonstrates what is a simple equation. The wheelchair without Hami is 70 centimetres wide with specialised seating that helps cocoon his buckled frame. And this is an old-school traditional state house. Think long, slim hallway with rooms off either side. It bears the scars of an ongoing battle with the wheelchair and other equipment, scrapes and bangs. And so does Hami.
We have to aware how he stretch his body, otherwise he can kick the wall. That's why cause the bruise on his toenails and bruise on his leg or something like that.
That's Latu, one of Hami's support workers. She shows me Hami's departing big toenail, the casualty of contact with a hallway that leaves no room for error or unpredictability.
So do you have to lift your son all the time?
Yes, all the time. That's all my job to lift because I can't use this hoist, can't fit inside the room.
So your job is to lift your son?
Yes.
And the hoist, it's no good to you?
Hoist is not wet because can't fit. That's the problem.
Can't fit in the bathroom?
Yes, can't fit in the bathroom.
And not enough room in the
Not
bedroom?
enough room in the bedroom.
When he says it's his job, it literally is. He was forced to give up paid work after his wife had major back surgery and was no longer able to move Hami. The family gets up to 3 hours a day carer support and survives on a benefit.
My normal job is a carpenter.
Would you like to be able to be a carpenter
Yeah.
again?
Always. Always in my heart. That's my favorite job.
How difficult is it for your family, you having to give up your job?
They're difficult because the pay they bring from winds, not enough. Can't pay the bill, can't pay the food. There are a lot of things to do, but not enough. But we do our best to survive.
This is a proud, private family, but they've invited us all behind closed doors to see their daily battle with this house. It's shower time. Hami is stripped in his bed and then lifted by two people onto a bed bath. It's a cross between an elevated mesh sun lounger and a hospital gurney. He's covered with a towel as his carers manoeuvre him out of the bedroom and down the narrow hall to a very small bathroom. And it takes some manoeuvring. They juggle the bed, gently tuck his feet in and protect a jutting elbow. And then use an open door opposite the bathroom to get their angles right to get him into the shower. Sound tricky? It is. Here's Latu again.
I believe with this kind of disability kids, that's our loved one. Why it takes so long of this family to be struggle and upset me. It's true, it's very upset me to see our people struggle. And that's our goal of our country, to take care of the disabled kids, the elderly.
Housing New Zealand says it's converted the bathroom to a wet room, and it has, but it's still tiny. It takes two people to wash Hami in the bath bed. And there's no room for the hoist that's supposed to do the heavy lifting.
The hoist never fit. That's why we have lift.
Again, Dad's already demonstrated the lack of wiggle room with said hoist. It doesn't clear the shower rail and leaves little space for anything else. So it's parked back in the lounge where it sits idle. The hoist and the house are not friends either. This place is cold too. There's just a small fitted heater in the lounge. I've had my outside coat on the whole time. It's a chilly gauntlet from Hami's room to the shower, where the door has to be left open because the condensation sets off the house smoke alarms, a sound that panics Hami.
We hope we can have a house, a place, we have open bathroom for so we can on a heater inside, leave his clothes there, dry there, and for us, safe of a support worker and the parents, to use the hoist to bring in, put in a big bed to shower, dry himself, do everything before we go back to bedroom.
Once Hami is dried and dressed again, his carers rub his limbs to warm him up and moisturise his hands and feet. The bath bed that is tinged with mould, despite everyone's best efforts, goes back outside on the wheelchair ramp. It's a constant revolving door of equipment in, equipment out, equipment back in again. Old sheets cover the floor in Hami's room so wheels that are grubby from outside don't mess up the carpet. His room is the best one in the house. Social worker Alistair Russell is working with this family.
The potentials for infections from equipment that's left outdoors because of a lack of space, the basic safety issues in terms of lifting a young man of his size, doing that regularly without the equipment. I mean, you can't use the equipment because the house isn't big enough. It's a perpetuating circle of risk which needs to be addressed.
Housing New Zealand says it's widened some doors, but this house is still squeezing Hami out. His meals are delivered through a tube. But life around the kitchen table is important to this family, and they want Hami to be a part of that. But at the moment, it's not a good fit.
So sad, because we need the family together. Not the half of the family and one's not there. It's not good for the family to...
Hami's occupational therapist wrote to Housing New Zealand in May, reminding the ministry that in 2012 this house was identified as no longer meeting Hami's needs, and Housing New Zealand agreed at that time that the family needed to be rehoused. The same letter says care tasks are being carried out in a totally unacceptable and unsafe manner as a consequence, and the house doesn't fit equipment vital to Hami's health, therapy and keeping him out of hospital. It pleads for urgent action. Ministry of Social Development figures show of just over 11,000 people on the waiting or transfer list for state houses. 556 of those households need a modified or accessible house. MSD says it understands this is a difficult situation, and along with Housing New Zealand, it will continue to support the family. Social worker Alistair Russell again.
Housing New Zealand and the Ministry of Social Development, between them they are either assessing the needs, monitoring waiting lists and or providing the housing. Between them they need to get their act together. This is absolutely appalling. It is completely unacceptable. It is not okay. It hasn't been okay since day one, and 7 years later it is still not okay. When do we as a society accept our responsibilities to actually provide for those people who have the highest levels of need?
Hami can keep going to his special school until he's 21, but after that he'll be spending a lot more time in this unsympathetic house.
There's no place here, like open place for to look outside to the world and enjoy his life.
The family needs to stay out south for Hami's hospital care and school. And the battle both with this house and for another kinder one is wearing them down.
My son is on my heart, day and night. I can't sleep well at night because of him.
Because you worry?
Worry, yeah. But if they got the good place for him, I think it must be better. But now on, I'm so worried.
So you just need a house that would make that a little bit easier for you?
Yes, please.
Well, we invited both Housing New Zealand and the Ministry of Social Development on the program to discuss the issues raised by that story. MSD declined, saying it's only been managing the social housing waiting list since 2014 and the family's case predates that. Housing New Zealand hasn't responded to our interview request, but both ministries did provide several statements. Now, the Ministry for Social Development says the family's priority for a housing transfer has now been raised from A10 to A18. Now, that's just 2 spots from the very top priority of A20. But this is where things get really interesting. Checkpoint asked for the specific date that MSD bumped this family up the priority list, and the ministry's confirmed it happened 2 days ago. That's the day we started asking questions about this family's case. Now, MSD has now changed its original statement, has come back to us, and it says it actually did another assessment in May that wasn't included in its original timeline, and it moved the family up several steps in the priority list and only then jumped them 1 spot up following our questions. Housing New Zealand says the family's restricted in where it can live because of the school and health needs of their son. And a lot of consideration, it says, is being given to finding a house that meets their needs into the future. Housing New Zealand says it understands an occupational therapist visited the family yesterday. Not so, says the family. We asked what percentage of Housing New Zealand stock is fully modified and accessible. It did not provide that information, but it says it partners with many organisations to make thousands of modifications to properties.